All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerds of Legend. Brian will not be joining us this week. He's had some other stuff going on, so it's just going to be the three of us. I'm going to end up running it this week. And this week, we're going to be doing our book talk, where we'll be discussing The Old Man's War by John Scalzi. Now, we decided for the sake of time this time that we're just going to jump straight into, spoilery stuff. So if that's not your bag and you haven't read the book yet, we would suggest tuning out because we're going to skip the non-spoiler section because we don't have enough time today. So
honestly, go ahead.
We discussed it. Our thoughts are: if you're tuning into a book talk, you probably read the book already, or you have no plans of reading the book. So that's where we're at. For those of you that need refreshing, The Old Man's War is a book that centers around an old man named John Perry. It's in a future state of a science fiction book where humanity has gotten to the point where it has become an interstellar civilization with the invention of the skip drive. And in order to go out to the stars, there's only two methods of getting out there. And that is being in a country that is in basically a disaster area due to nuclear war or other wars or climate change, where you are basically refugees and you get to be a colonial citizen, or the other option where if you're living in a place like America, you get to volunteer to join the Colonial Defense Forces at the age of 75, where you are promised a new lease on life, they'll patch up all your body and basically give you a brand new body to live in and fight in, and that is the premise of the book. So you're given a new body, but you have the mind of a 75-year-old and all the experience that comes with it. So that's the premise of the book, and it's all of John Perry's adventures as he joins the Colonial Defense Forces and becomes a hero.
And everyone who joins the force, what did he say? 10% of you won't make it through the year.
Yeah. So they have an abysmal casualty rate. Pretty much the odds of you making it through. So you have to volunteer for 2 years, I believe, and during wartime it is extended out to a service of 10.
Yeah. They make that. I like that they start out. They're like, "Oh, you have to just sign up for 2 years."
So basically, what the CDF doesn't tell you.
Like, wartime, and we're always in wartime.
Basically, we're in a world. Yeah. Basically, we're in a world where almost every alien species we come across is hostile because there's a limited number of habitable planets, and they are a precious resource that are fought over tooth and nail. And also, we kind of came onto the galactic stage late compared to other races. With that being sort of our synopsis and plot, lots of bugs.
A lot of bug people. The thing I like about this book is the beginning of it reads a lot like an old 1940s, 1950s radio drama.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it sound like, and when you get to be 75, you've had more than one organ replacement, as is per the norm.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were going to get there, and somehow, through some super science, they were going to get an injection that's going to make them young or something like that. It wasn't really determined.
Yeah.
But they were just... And then they get there, and I love the psychological conditioning and the mental conditioning where they're just, fucking with old people for a while, and then they're... good. And... the guy that has to piss you off
I think,
to see if you can control your emotions.
I think one of the best things about this book, and I know people talk about it a lot with books, is the opening line. It's such a great... The first sentence of the book is, is I did 2 things on my 75th birthday. I visited my wife's grave, and I joined the army.
Yeah. Which that's a great drawing.
And it's just like, it was like, what? Like, say what now? And it was just, I remember when I first read this book, I was in high school, and I was just like, say what? He did what now? Like, it was just an attention grabber that I was sucked in immediately. Now, I guess Joel, it sounds like he's a big fan. Missy, what did you think? We can't hear. Oh, you cut out there for some reason.
I liked it. It's not something I would pick up myself, but it was good. The pace was good. I feel like, and this is my complaint with most like fantasy sci-fi books, is I feel like there's a lot of setup in the beginning when I just wanted to kind of get to the action, but once the action happened, it was like, and you die, and you die, and you die, everyone dies.
Yeah.
But I told him last night, it just seems like, because one of your biggest gripes about, some of the books that I like are that they're all Mary Sue's, and like somehow like this guy kind of seems to like stumble into like commendation after commendation. Like
I had that thought when I was listening to it. He kind of just stumbles his way into things, but he's also at the same time he's not like the best soldier or commander or anything.
That's not what a Gary Stu would be like. Yeah. He's not there by his sheer prowess. He's there by just dumb luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically,
like he's the titular character. Like he's the main character of the story, but he's not like
the story revolves around
exist.
Yeah, he exists. He's basically the viewpoint into what's going on. He's not.
What I do like is that he's not like in the next book, which I'm already on there because I can't help it. It's a good story, and it doesn't follow his viewpoint, so the world gets bigger, which is interesting.
Yeah, I liked it though. It was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would I continue reading it?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect you to just like drop everything and read the whole series, but
yeah, but it was good. It was enjoyable.
Okay. Is there anything you didn't like about it?
That it's sci-fi and there was no long, drawn-out romance.
No, there was. I really like that they did bring his wife back, and not like his wife, but like, the body of his wife, and so in some ways he was able to get closure.
Yeah.
Which was nice. But no, there wasn't really anything that I disliked about the book, but I liked that, like, it felt realistic that, like, you're a bunch of 75-plus-year-old men and women. Like, the first thing you do when you get a new body is just bang everyone. Like, that seems very realistic.
Well, that's what everybody. You ever talk to anybody that works in a nursing home? Yeah. And they're like, oh, all they do is have sex. And you're like, disgusting. But then they're 80-year-old people with their, like, 75, 80-year-old people now who are, like, super hot in the peak physical condition and can't get pregnant or diseased.
Who haven't been able to, move their hip the right way in 20 years, like.
Right. Now can jump off a balcony 30 feet in the air and just, like, tuck and roll with no problem.
Yeah, so basically what happens in the book is there's, in order for you to join the CDF, you have to enlist when you're 65. In which case you give them a bunch of your DNA and then you actually join at 75. That 10 years is so that they have time to grow you a new clone, which is packed to the gills with genetic enhancements and nanobots and
green skin with chlorophyll. Like it can feed itself by smart blood. Smart blood where it can feed itself by standing in sunlight.
They only need was it 30 minutes or 3 hours of sleep a night?
2 hours.
2 hours of sleep a night. They can supplement most of their bodies that can supplement most of their. They can live off of sunlight basically. Yeah. They don't have to. Their enhanced lung capacity and smart blood gives them the ability to not breathe for 10 minutes. they have cat eyes, which gives them night vision. What else?
They apparently are all crazy hot. They were very, very clear in saying that everybody was extremely attractive.
Oh, they can run 20-minute 10 miles in 20 minutes or whatever. Basically, they can outperform any Olympian. So what it does is they transfer your consciousness into this new body when you join the military, and then there's this scene where it's basically like they're all in these new bodies, and they're like, all right, you have a week before basic, have fun, and they basically just fuck like rabbits for a week and do among other things. But
I liked that, like, he had the moment with his old body, right, where he, like, was able to, like, thank it for its service, which is, like, kind of weird, but, like, also, like,
interesting. I
cannot imagine looking at yourself with your consciousness in another body, like, how you would feel. And so I liked that they gave that moment to, like, process that emotion and not just, like, move on. Like, of course, it's, like, the newness and exciting and all of that stuff, but, like, it just felt like that there were like poignant moments that it wasn't just a sci-fi book, right? Like it wasn't just a war book or war.
That's what's interesting about it is it's not just a straight military science fiction. It's sort of there's a lot of other nuances to it. It's not like Starship Troopers, which is basically a critique, is basically not even a critique, it's a glorification of a fascist regime, but this is a sort of different thing where this is a force that's like we have to do whatever humanity can to survive, and the best way we've found to do it is shove 75-year-old people into clone bodies and let them just enter the meat grinder.
I do like the rationale for that one. Like, why do we use 75-year-old people? And it was because you can't teach somebody who's 18 or 19 to care about something other than themselves. It's saying that you're fighting for a whole group of people that you've never met.
Yeah.
And he said it was really hard because when you're 75, though, you have family, you have friends, you have children, grandchildren. You have an entire legacy left back on Earth and possibly in the colonies. And you are fighting for their survival.
Yeah.
And then you get out there and you realize, because they're very clear, and it's very poignant scene where he shows those two aliens, the saloon, which is that like really handsome deer thing. And the Bethunga, which is this horrible blob monster.
Nothing is as it seems.
Blob monster's the good guy. And they've been like peacefully and enthusiastically coexisting with humanity for a while
because they love to eat shit.
The other ones are like they bring celebrity chefs to a planet to eat people.
They have a taste for human flesh and think it's the best thing ever.
And they when they first encountered humans, they milked men for their sperm and ate babies like veal. They're like So he's like, looks are maybe deceiving, and then they talk about how weird the universe is, like those flying whale type creatures and the 1 inch tall guy that they just step on, and then have this existential crisis as they're knocking over skyscrapers that are only 10 meters tall.
But he had that moment afterwards, like, sometimes this happens. How far in your service are you? Oh, you're right on time for that. The
lieutenant, he has it. Perry has basically a mental breakdown because he's like, oh my god, I'm a monster. I'm just stomping on 2-inch tall people.
Well, they look just like humans, except he's stepping on them. And
he's like, are we the baddies? And then it's space.
But that's what everybody thinks. Is like, they go to talk about how everybody thinks they're the good guy. Like they're fighting to expand into the universe and survive, except for
the Kansu.
The Kansu are interesting, especially in the second book, Where
I love how
that was the first book. They all kind of they blend together beautifully. Like the story is a beautiful continuation. But when they go to fight, they go as emissaries to the Kansu, who will not interact with any other creatures. You cannot touch the same planet as them. You cannot interact in any way.
Yeah.
Like it's all like they're like xenophobic, but they're also like
it's
not.
It's interesting because a lot of times you have these hive races that are in normal sci-fi that are, you know, they're just the devouring swarm sort of thing. But in this case, the insectoid hive race are basically a hyper-religious, hyper-advanced, basically came on the galactic stage thousands of years before any other race, views all of the other child races as being basically unclean children that need to be advanced to the point where they can be greeted as equals by the Kansu.
They look at war as like
it's a cleansing,
bringing them into the cycle of reincarnation. Yeah. So by killing you in battle, that they have consecrated and blessed.
Yeah, they basically
are now welcomed into their cycle of reincarnation.
Yeah, but you're still unclean until you can reach their level, sort of thing, and join the cycle. And
it's weird because they're like.
It's funny because I love how all of these like colonial intelligence thought it's just like some kind of weird ancient ritual that they just do because it's like some honor thing, and then Perry watched it. He's like, "This is a religious ritual." Yeah. Yeah. And he calls it. It's so funny.
But again, like that's another weird moment where he's like, "Why is he the only one seeing this?"
Well,
and then later on, they're like, "Yeah, we've wondered about that for a while," and then he finally, when they send this emissary group, they get it confirmed. But
yeah, what's weird though is there's the way that they go about it in understanding these races is everything seems pretty much tit for tat, except for the Kansu, and they'll like dumb down their arsenal to make sure they're on the same level.
Yeah,
it's all about like earning that place.
Yeah, and then the next time you fight them, they'll do more advanced tactics. They kind of are like, so the first time humanity fought them, they didn't have any kind of. It was just basically the same level of weaponry as the CDF has. Then they fight them the second time, but this time the Kansu are using energy shields.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it's interesting.
It's the.
But again, he's the only one who notices you have to double tap. Like,
but it's also because you're only seeing from their mentality, their viewpoint as well too. So.
And really, it's just he's basically the one that figures it out first, and then he sends it out to everybody because he figured out quickly how to use the brain pal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he seems like a nerd.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, the guy does not seem like a really cool guy. He doesn't seem like a really athletic dude. He feels kind of like a nerd. Like
well, that's what he says. You know, he talks about how when he was in his 20-year-old body, it was definitely never this fit. He kind of already had like a bit of a paunch, and he was never really that fit. He was kind of a dweeb with glasses or something. You know, for God's sake, he was in advertising, which brings me to my favorite scene in the entire book, and that is the drill sergeant scene. And if you listen to the audiobook, it's one of the best things ever because the guy, the VA basically channels the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket, and it's just like,
it's beautiful. The scene where he's like, what is it, Willie the Wheeler? Or...
Yeah, he goes through every single like cadet. He's like now who the guys the drill sergeant's like, I'm gonna find something that I hate about every single one of you, and at which point you will have to run 10 miles here and back, and if you are not back here within an hour, you will do it again, or something like that.
Yeah.
And and then he goes down. He's like, "Now, who here is in the military?" It's like, or who here was in the army? It's like, God damn it, I hate you fucks. There's more of you that cause people to die than any other thing in the whole damn army. Blah, blah, blah. And then it goes like Christians, Muslims, blood. He's like, now who here is he is a minority? And then a bunch of people raise their hand. Not anymore, you got green skin, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes out there and then he just, the guy, I love how he talks where he's sitting there being like, and Ohio's sheer lack of interestingness has benefited me for the first and only time ever.
Yeah, basically he goes down the line and the only one left is John, and because he's such like a non
just a boring,
he's a boring man who doesn't believe in anything, is just like a basically generic white bread person from Cleveland, Ohio. The guy can't find anything to hate about him, and then he's like, what was your job? I was in advertising. Oh yeah? What did you advertise? Willie the Wheelie, sir. Willie the God, you're the mastermind that created Willie the Wheelie. He turns around, he's got a tattoo of the character on his ass or something like that.
I thought it was on his arm.
Or it was on his arm or something.
Yeah.
Because the guy was suicidal and about to kill himself, step in front of a bus, and then he saw the ad that says, sometimes you just gotta hit the road.
Yeah. Like that part, I thought that was funny. It was like, that's what started his dumb luck, right? Like, and it just continued. And I'm not saying he's not smart, but like a lot of it was dumb luck.
A lot of it was just
dumb luck.
Trip and fall, and it's like, oh, neat.
Yeah,
it's like he tripped with his eyes open.
Yeah, it's like his shuttle gets shut down on Coral, and by sheer dumb luck, he survived somehow.
Yeah,
and then he happens to get found.
But then he goes to the special forces. Well, he doesn't. I mean, like he almost dies on Coral from another. What did the array, right? The like weird bird like lizard people.
Where he like this is John.
Yeah, his whole lower jaw gets torn off, and he's like half dead.
Yeah.
I
think his arm and leg. All of his ribs are shattered. I think he loses an arm or a leg or something, and
like it takes him like a couple months, and he does lose a leg, and they grow back with nanobots. It's really cool.
So that's another interesting thing that happens is you learn about what the Ghost Brigade is, and that is basically if you by enlisting in the military at age 65, if you die before your term, before your 75th birthday, you've still signed away your genetic rights to the CDF, in which case they use your body to create a new basically they implant a personality into the ghost body to be their like special forces.
It's so weird, like when he's like, oh, he's looking at Jane, right? Like his wife, like the body of his wife, but his wife's not her consciousness. And she just keeps saying, I'm 6. Like, I haven't had a lot of time to, like, have a life. I'm only 6. And you're like...
I can't... Like, it's weird to decide, but it's...
Well, it's...
Yeah.
It's the fact that they come out and immediately... I mean, the second book does such a great job of explaining, like, every time you hear a word, your brain pal will be like, this is what this means. And so you learn at this exponential rate, but then also you don't have this human, like, development, so you don't learn to keep yourself safe, you know? Like, when they're having the fight with the Kansu. That,
you grow up knowing that, like, oh, heck, even if I lose this arm, as long as I make it back, they'll just regrow it. So who cares?
That's what he was talking about when the Special Forces were having that battle with the Kansu to earn the right to ask questions.
Yeah.
And the one was like, well, I'll get my arm cut off. It's cool. Because
she sacrificed her arm to kill the other Kansu.
Yeah, and they're like, what is that? Like, that is not something a normal human would do. But if you're raised knowing your body is 100% able to be regrown, it makes a lot of difference. And he said, but it's just weird. Like, they don't understand. They don't think or speak in linear ways. They speak in images, and it's kind of like the difference between like a text thread and like a social media, post. Where people are communicating in just memes and images and videos.
It's like the difference between how we used to like just text each other, and now we'll just be in a group chat and communicate via memes and GIFs.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, and that's how they spent their entire life,
And emojis,
How do you communicate?
which is crazy, because if you think about it, this book was written in 2005, and that's kind of how people like communicate now via text message and stuff. Like, and that was before all this stuff was going on.
What you think about it too is how many people use things that were silly. Like I remember back in the 90s when we started and text was out there, and you only had if you're gonna do a C, you've got to push 4 times,
Yeah.
And you're like, nobody is going to ever text.
Yeah.
It is so slow. And then T9 came out, and you're like, oh, this is great. So it was like weird because.
Yeah, and then a year later, you have the keyboard phones.
But now you've got the kids nowadays who send.
I would still have my keyboard if I could.
Oh yeah.
You do have a keyboard on your iPhone.
Yeah, but it was a slide
like
out phone, and it was amazing.
Yeah, the slide out phone.
That was just expert back then. You were weird.
Oh, I loved my slide out. Just tippity taps.
Sorry.
Is that what we're gonna do? Now pivoting to keyboard preferences. I had a slide out too.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it. I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the future. Like, it was like this.
It's way more comfortable.
But it's interesting to see like how book written, 15 years ago, 17 years ago comes out and is like emulating how like children today communicate.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I try to text my children and
they just respond with an emoji.
Shit, you're like, what is this? It's a poop emoji, an orange, and a thumbs up. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell is that. Shut up. You're not that much. You don't understand it either.
Joel's like, get off my lawn!
Patting me like I just think, the old man doesn't get it. Like I'm just like.
He did sound a million years old.
Speaking of that, okay, that is the thing that I really love about the dialogue in this book. Is it sounds like the grumpy old men go to war.
Yes, so much of it, everything. It's just like
asshole. This is a very common designation for your brain
Honestly, that just felt like it was a boy thing.
It was.
Actually, that's like talking to my dad. Like, I remember back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Marshmallows were made of gravel. You're like,
I did think it was funny how like all of the old people get mad at the voice in their head and just call it a mean name. Like even the women. The women just call it, yo, bitch!
All of them saying bitch.
I would probably ask his name.
Yeah.
No, you would name it something about Sailor Moon or something like that. What's your name, Luna?
Artemis was the...
I would say Jarvis, probably.
You would say Jarvis. What? I have no idea what I would name. I have put zero thought into it.
What would you name your brain pal, Joel? Come on.
I have absolutely no idea.
Skynet. No.
You have to, think about it in the moment.
That's what I'm saying. In the moment, depending on what I had just read or looked at.
But that's why you would ask. I would ask it.
Right now, this moment, what would you name your brain pal?
Right now, Tim.
There you go. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, that's what I'd be like, hey, Tim. And I'd be like, okay. No, just Tim. Just Tim. No other words, just Tim.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, while you two are blabbering, I went off to the Mighty Python Scream of the Enchanter, and he's like, someone called me Tim. Oh, great, Tim the Enchanter. That's what I would do it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Not Tim the Enchanter, because that's too many words. That's a stupid name.
I know, it's like Smith Brandhammer, you don't want to sign him.
I'm going to have an aneurysm one day. It will be your fault.
No.
He's not coming.
No, but then you guys won't be able to serve together in the Colonial Defense Forces.
Oh, have you not met her? There's no way she's going to space. They're like, are there bugs in space? Shitloads of bugs. I'm like,
your camera's freaking out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where else we can go from this, because we all agree that the book was good. We don't have anything to argue about for this one.
It's not really a point of arguing. It's just one point we like.
Yeah. I think it's so, like, the thing is I'm accepting it for what it is, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not, I didn't go in...
expecting some...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It met the expectations that I had, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it thought, like, there were moments where I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But there were, like, overall, it was like, okay, they're fighting again. Great. Yeah. Another. Like, this is slightly different, but okay, still the same. They're all dying. Okay. Everyone's dead. Like, when the guy, like, got up there and was like, I was a politician and I helped broker.
Oh, God. That was so dumb.
And they're like, hey, that was the bloodiest war. And they're like, shut up, not because of me. And then he got, like, skinned and flayed. Like,
he got, like, torn to... There's a scene in the book where this guy joins the Perry's unit, who's just this... He was a senator that was basically anti-war. So in which case, why did he join the CDF?
Yeah, it's not mandatory, but you don't have to.
But he was he joins the CDF and then all of a sudden starts, why are we here? Why didn't we try any kind of diplomatic solutions? I think I could have come to a diplomatic solution. And they're on this planet of people that they basically just jumped into their home planet and started.
But it was a Kansu, remember?
No, it was in the Kansu. It wasn't the Kansu. It was an array world after Coral.
Oh, no, I mean, like, I thought we were talking about the guy who tried to broker peace when the Kansu came out, and they just, like, obliterated him.
No, so this was a raid that was after the array attacked Coral. The CDF basically went after the homeworld and were just like, fuck you! And they came, or no, maybe it wasn't the array, but there's a world that they went to because there was something, so they just went to the place's homeworld and fucked them up. Just basically
that was the one with the needles, right?
Yeah, so they come across what appears to be a religious ceremony, and he's like, I think we can talk to these people because they've nullified all of the military installations.
Squirrel bear things.
Huh?
It was the things that look like squirrel bears.
Yeah, they look like teddy bears. Yes.
Yeah.
And so he's like, these people. I was like, we've come to their world. We're just taking out military installations. I feel like we can talk to their leader. And he's like, he walks down. And they're like, God, stop it, damn it! And he runs up there. And he's like, excuse me. He throws down his gun. I wish to speak to you. And he had somehow learned their language. I can't remember how. And then he immediately they stop their religious ceremony, dead stop, because they weren't supposed to fire unless fired upon, basically, because they're there to take out military targets, not to kill everybody. And they all stop and look at him, and then they just fill him full of dart guns, and he basically dissolves into a puddle from the acid and poison from the darts.
I like that they're like, and we all agreed that was the most interesting way we've seen somebody die. It paints a beautiful picture of going back and forth from each different world.
Mm-hmm.
It does make it seem very alien.
Yeah.
In certain spots.
I think it's very good at depicting different alien cultures and how they would do things.
But this guy goes with a lot of high weird instead of everything's human-ish. In Star Trek where everything is vaguely human-ish for the most part. Two legs. This is just they get weird.
He tries to make he tries to make these alien cultures as alien to humanity as possible, which would maybe make sense, if we're talking from that point of view of what happens if bird lizards became sentient and they on an ocean planet. Yeah.
I liked how they were able to jump, and the fact that they made it human in some ways because, like, I forget what the guy's name is, but where he talked about like how he was in astronomy, he really liked it.
I liked how Perry's buddies were like an astrophysicist and an astronomer.
Yeah. Well, and so like for him, he's looking at the stars, and then they make that jump, and he's like, huh. Like, it looks the same but different. Like, and then when he died, everyone dies. He's like something about seeing the stars one last time or dying under the stars. And I was like, okay, like, you're coming full circle.
Yeah. I did like the fact of, like, the way they maneuver has always been a big catch to me in the stories. Like, there's a big part of the story is how do you get from point A to point B? You know, like, is it going to be like a hyperspace thing? Is it going to be faster than light travel? Is it, the Stargate, or the warp or whatever the hell it is?
This one's interesting. Is the skip drives?
It's a displacement, but only to a certain distance, which is because if you have the entire universe to pick from, then there is no scarcity of planets. There's a gajillion planets out there, but everybody only had so far they could go from their home planet before the skip technology didn't work, and that's what they all used. And so it's funny, like, you wonder where did they come up with it. They never really got into the skip technology of who gave it to them, or if they...
I think they do.
No,
they discover it.
They don't give you, like, they tell you when they got it, but not who or not if it was given to them by anybody. It's like everybody kind of has it.
I think they figure it out. They talk about how skip was discovered later.
Yeah, but we haven't, not in the first book.
Yeah.
They just know they're talking about how it's displacement.
And
where you just move from one universe to another.
Yeah.
But
it's basically like multiverse theory.
Yeah.
And you're jumping around. And you just jump it. It's sort of like a probabilities thing. So you jump into a different universe at the.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you jump into another universe at the same point as your counterpart jumped just to a different one.
Yeah,
and there's basically zero possibility of ever returning to your home universe, but you would never know it because It's like a multiverse theory of like there's no parallel universes where it's everyone's purple instead of beige.
Yeah.
It's all
that would have been a wild storyline. That would have been impossible to keep up with. But it was interesting to see. And then what I really like is, for some reason, the idea of the Kansu makes me happy. Like this overarching hyper advanced. I mean, they have a Dyson sphere, which would put them in like type 2?
Yeah.
A type 2 on the Kardashev scale.
Yeah.
So like super, super advanced. And the fact that they're kind of like parents overlooking the universe, being like, "You're doing well. We'll kill you a little bit to get you to where you need to be."
Yeah, it's interesting because he talks to that representative because they view the lesser civilizations as dirty, unclean, because they haven't entered into the cycle of rebirth or something, because apparently the Kansu have figured out reincarnation or something.
Yeah, and by dying in war with them.
Yeah, by dying a warrior's death, you can re-enter the cycle of reincarnation and be reborn.
But they also go and they give technology to balance the scales.
Yeah, so they gave the technology because then they could it would push the two races closer to being to the Kansu. Right. And it was just interesting because there's a point where he's like, because they use up their questions and John's like, "Why are you doing this to us?" He's like, "What is your purpose with us?" Or like, why do you hate us? And he's like, "We don't hate you." It's like, we love you. Like, we both love you and hate you, or something like that. Because we know what you can be. There's sort of this, like, God race that that knows the potential of all these races and know that they can be better than what they are and stuff like that. And it's just funny.
It's interesting because, like, if you ever look into the cartage of scales, the class 0, class 1, class 2, have you ever read what the class 2 civilization would look like? And they do look like godlike with their technology. And I find he personified that in these characters of the Kansu. And their empire is like 800 planets or something like that, which means they're far past the skip drive technology of everybody else, which means they're probably using a different way of transportation. And yet they're still here in the muck helping everybody else, which is weird. And it was an interesting dynamic to throw in there, especially when everybody's fighting everybody and these guys who could kill everybody.
You just don't mess with the Kansu. They're like, we're happy where we're at. We're trying to get you guys up to where we are. You guys just need to stop being dumbasses.
Yeah. It's just funny that, like, we help you by killing you. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, dang, you could just...
We love you, and that's why we must kill you.
Yeah. It's a weird... But it makes sense. Like, in a lot of... You look at a lot of stories, of our own stories, where we'd be like, we have to go convert the unbelievers or kill them. We've done that in human history, so...
It's almost like a Prime Directive that's a little bit more, like, heavy-handed. Yeah. It's like, we're not going to help you, but we're going to let you know that we're here so that you have something to strive for, because otherwise we might kill you the next time we show up.
Yeah. And we've got better guns after you beat us. After we kill you with these crappy guns, we've got better ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I don't know. It was an engaging story. It's definitely an immersive one that can pass the time. It doesn't require a whole lot of thought.
It's very mindless. It's
It definitely takes you on a journey.
Yeah,
and no one was sheathed.
There was some booby touching, though.
There was a lot of banging, but nobody got licked or sheathed. That was written about.
Yeah.
That seems like a failing.
Yeah. Melissa's like, this is why I hated this book. No.
There wasn't a lot of licking and weird talking. Okay, that was horrible. He was just licking, not a fan.
Not by his wife. Weird.
Yeah, not by his wife. Yeah, definitely by my wife.
Yeah, I'm glad everyone enjoyed it.
It was a good pick.
I started listening to it and immediately was like, oh my god, I forgot how much I love this book.
Those are like the best feelings. Those moments where you're like, God, I really liked this one. Like,
how did I forget about this? Like,
yeah, I'm already halfway through the second book.
Nice.
It's the best mindless story.
It slows down a little bit in the later ones, but the second one's definitely a good.
Yeah, it just
good
follows.
Continuation.
You can be doing stuff with your headphones on and listening to it, and it just takes you on this journey that makes life so much more interesting as you're sitting there doing your day to day.
And it's fast. It's it's a 6-8 hour. It's like an 8-hour read. It's nice.
It was engaging.
So, we're coming up on time now, so I believe we need a book suggestion from Missy. And for the record, this is actually her first actual suggestion, not the ones that Joel's basically picked from her bookshelves. This is her actual suggestion. Yeah.
The first one was Discovering Witches. That was my pander to you.
Yeah. This was.
I have two options.
Okay.
You don't give options. You just tell us the book.
We can read one that I've read before, or one that I haven't, but both I think you will enjoy.
Okay.
And we can all go. So it depends. One that I've read.
Evening of Feyre. It's just
no.
It's just fan fiction bang sessions. It's 220 pages of just going at it.
So one
the look she gave me was
let Missy talk. Joel, let Missy talk.
One that I've read, one that I haven't. Both I think you will like.
Okay.
You can't peek.
I'm not peek. I wouldn't know either.
Yeah.
So pick one. Or I can do a little underneath the table and do pick one or two.
You're trying to like make me choose between one you've read versus one you haven't?
Yeah.
Oh God. Without knowing? That's not fair.
No, either. I don't know what you read or not read.
Left or right?
Left.
Okay, so this is the one that I've read.
Okay.
It's called Poison Study.
Okay.
And it's about a food tester. Like there's like there's a war going on, and this woman gets caught. And instead she gets the option to choose between living as the general's food tester,
okay,
or dying. And so it's
obvious choice.
Yes. So it's called.
Yes.
But now I want to know what the other one is, because I might still change my mind.
But the real big twist is the general is a vegan.
No. Rivers of London. What's that?
Yes.
What's this?
So this one is like, both are like magical fantasy.
Okay.
This one is based in like real world London, and it's kind of like Neverwhere. It's supposed to be like Neverwhere.
It's a great. She hates Neverwhere because she's a terrible person.
But so this one is, he'll show you the city, but not the capital. It's a city that has a dark surface packed full of crime and magic. He tries to take a witness statement from a man who's already dead, and it takes him down a twisting, turning, centuries-old mystery set in modern London.
This is legitimately a Dresden Files story called Ghost Stories. This is British Dresden. So this is the one that he picked.
Yeah, I kind of like the intrigue of the poison tester one.
That one is, I really enjoy it. It's the first book in a trilogy. There's a secondary trilogy that I've not read because I didn't really care for the characters. But it's good. It's interesting. I don't think there's any sex in it.
I'm not against it. It's just what my character seems to.
Sex in this book.
Yeah, but it was really like Fade to Black. It was like everyone.
Yeah, that's how you drink sex. Like she walked in and pulled her boobs out. Like, yes, this is wherever we want to go.
So Yelena and Valak, and it's about like magic and war. So
sheathing.
And what is that for the chat? That is the poison study.
Poison Study
by Maria V. Snyder.
See?
That came from Borders.
Oh, my.
Borders and Under.
Oh, dang it. I need to re-hook up my chat. Never mind.
Now, this week, Wednesday, we are going to be having our recap of our campaign that came to a close last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, at this time, we will be looking into the Silver Surfer and starting a journey through some of the cosmic beings of the Marvel Universe. So we hope to see you guys on Wednesday. You got anything to add?
Just a reminder to check out our social media, please. And if you liked what you saw, please give us a follow. Please follow us on our social medias, because they're where we give updates on what our next episodes will be. Joel pretty much summed it up on what our next couple episodes are, so we'll see you again on Wednesday, hopefully. And other than that, I've been Ben, and we'll be signing off.
Have a good day. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everyone.